Hi, my friend. So happy to see you here on my channel. If you're new, please subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. Your support really helps. Comment below and tell me where you're tuning in from. I read and value every single comment. Let's jump in. Cassidy and I were just 4 months away from saying our vows. The venue was locked in, our guest list had been finalized, and the caterer, smelling blood in the water, had conveniently doubled their price, betting we were too far in to say no. Oddly, none of that fazed me. Earlier that day, I'd closed a major deal with a high-stakes client, and the bonus I walked away with could have funded our honeymoon twice over. I was flying high. The plan was simple. Surprise Cassidy by coming home early and telling her I'd cleared the weekend, just the two of us. A little escape. She needed a break. So did we. That was the story I kept replaying in my head. I pulled into the driveway a little after 3. I noticed Travis's car parked a few houses down. I figured he had popped in for a visit. We had history, after all. Friends since high school. He'd even toasted us at the engagement party. Nothing about his presence raised a flag. The house was quiet when I stepped inside. I dropped my keys on the counter and called out, "Cassidy?" No answer. I walked through the house to the backyard. That's when I saw them. They weren't touching, not technically, but the space between them told me everything I needed to know. She was smiling in a way I hadn't seen from her in weeks. His posture was too familiar, leaning in, leg brushing close to hers. I didn't say a word. I just turned around, stepped back inside, and gently shut the patio door. Then I sat at the kitchen island and waited. 10 minutes passed before they came through the door. Travis froze the instant he saw me. Cassidy's face flickered with confusion, like she wasn't sure if I had just arrived or if I'd been there long enough to see it all. "Hey," she said carefully. "Didn't hear you come in." "Clearly," I said. Travis mumbled something about leaving and grabbed his keys. "I was just heading out," he added, then vanished without another word. I didn't watch him go. My eyes were on Cassidy. "Sit," I said quietly. "Now." She perched on the edge of the couch, stiff and wary, like she couldn't decide whether to defend herself or beg. Her fingers kept fiddling with the sleeve of her hoodie. "Start talking," I said. Her eyes darted to the door like she was hoping Travis might return and bail her out. He wouldn't. He never did well in situations like this. "Blake," she began, voice shaking. "It's not what it looked like." I said nothing. I just waited. "It was a mistake," she said finally. "It only happened once." "When?" I asked. Her voice dropped to a whisper. 2 months ago." "Where?" She hesitated. "Here," she said. "In this house?" I asked. My tone never changed. She nodded. I turned my eyes away for a beat, then back to hers. I repeated myself, not because I hadn't heard, but because I knew she was holding back. "How long did it go on?" Her bottom lip trembled. "A few times," she confessed. "That's it. I swear." Her eyes were flickering fast now. "I know how terrible it sounds." "It doesn't sound terrible," I replied flatly. "It is terrible," she said, and that's when the tears started. She was crying hard now, like the weight of it might shift something in her favor. I didn't move. "I didn't plan any of this," she said between sobs. "You were gone, and we were just talking, and things got out of hand." I slowly shook my head. "Things don't just get out of hand, Cassidy. Doors don't magically open. Clothes don't remove themselves. You made choices." "I still love you," she said, desperation bleeding into her voice. "We can fix this. Please, don't let this ruin us." I looked at her for a long time. Then I said the line I'd practiced in my head more times than I could count. "Thank you for being honest." She stared, confused. "That's it?" "No," I said. "Go pack your bags, you're leaving." Her expression cracked like she'd been physically struck. "Wait, what? You're throwing me out?" "You slept with Travis," I said evenly. "You're not my fiancé anymore. You're just someone who should have left a long time ago." She stood frozen, like her world had just caved in. Her eyes scanned mine, searching for even a sliver of doubt. But there wasn't any. I didn't yell. I didn't flinch. I didn't need to. "Blake," she said, voice rising with panic. "You're being unfair. We're engaged. You're seriously going to just walk away from everything?" I pointed down the hallway. "You've got 10 minutes. Grab what you need for tonight. The rest gets packed tomorrow." She crossed her arms tightly across her chest, her voice like steel. "You don't get to boss me around." "I'm not giving orders," I said quietly. "I'm closing the book." Her voice wavered. "You can't just toss 5 years away over one mistake." I walked over and pulled the front door open. "You already did." She stayed rooted in place. I stepped closer. "This house? My name's on the deed. I paid every bill, handled every repair. You moved in 2 years ago. You didn't create this. You just occupied it." "I built a life with you," she fired back, her face twisting. "I was part of everything." "No," I said evenly. "You were present when it was easy. Then you brought Travis here and destroyed the rest." Her eyes burned. "So that's it? You're just shutting off your emotions?" "No," I said. "I've just stopped being the fool you counted on." She went quiet. The next few minutes passed in a blur of banging drawers and muffled sobs. I stayed near the door, letting the cool night air filter in, cleansing the space like a fresh wind. Eventually, she emerged, a duffel thrown over one shoulder. She paused, looked back. "You'll regret this," she said. I met her gaze squarely. "No, Cassidy, you will." Then I closed the door behind her and turned the lock. Silence filled the room. I took a seat at the kitchen counter and opened my laptop. Months back, after a stolen package incident, I'd set up security cameras. One covered the porch, the other, an afterthought, watched over the living room. I never bothered disabling it. It took 20 minutes to find what I needed, not hours, just enough to confirm everything, enough to catch voices, faces. I didn't need explicit footage, just the truth, crystal clear, time-stamped, and sharp enough to wound. I froze the frames. Cassidy on the couch. Travis, my so-called best friend, bending in close, his mouth grazing her neck like he belonged there. I opened my contacts and created a new group chat. Wedding update. Important. I added Cassidy's parents, my parents, mutual friends, and yes, Travis's girlfriend too. I uploaded the screenshots and typed a single line beneath them. The wedding is off. Cassidy's been sleeping with my best friend Travis in my house. Questions? Ask away. I'm done. Then I hit send. No rants, no screaming, no drama. After that, I blocked the people who needed blocking, Cassidy, Travis, and the mutuals who'd already picked a side. The silence was better than any half-hearted apology could ever be. The next morning, I called a locksmith. By noon, the locks were changed. By evening, Cassidy's belongings, clothes, shoes, makeup, were bagged and set out by the curb. She never came back for them. The fallout was quick. 3 days after the group message, Cassidy's mother somehow got around the block and left a voicemail at my office, said it was a family emergency. I never called her back. That night, I checked my email. 3 new messages, all from addresses I didn't recognize. One was from Cassidy, one from Travis, the last from someone pretending to be worried. Cassidy's message was a spiral of excuses and desperation. One moment she was begging, the next blaming. "I know I messed up, but this should have stayed private. You didn't have to ruin my life. Now my parents are ashamed of me. You shared private content. That's illegal. I'm talking to a lawyer." Travis's was worse, full of excuses and insincere regret. "I never meant for this to happen. We were both in a weird place. It just happened. Can we meet and talk? You're taking this too far." He ended with, "I still think of you as a brother." I didn't reply. I forwarded every message to Amira Denton, a family lawyer a friend had recommended. Her response came back fast, precise, professional, and cold. No fluff, no pity, just a clean, calculated plan. From the outset, she didn't hide what this would become: messy, drawn out, and underhanded. Cassidy and her lawyer weren't coming to the table in good faith. They'd twist facts, muddle timelines, and drag their feet at every opportunity. If I wanted to make it through intact, I couldn't just react. I had to think 2 moves ahead. So I built the full picture: our engagement history, shared property, even security footage. Amira, my attorney, asked me to gather every piece of evidence: screenshots, receipts, property documents, and the kind of emotional damage that doesn't leave bruises, just a slow erosion of your identity. I had everything organized. Within 48 hours, Cassidy had secured her own representation. Just as Amira predicted, a formal demand arrived shortly after. They wanted half the value of my house, emotional restitution based on a group chat, and a portion of my yearly bonus for her support during the engagement. Amira read their letter calmly. Then she crafted our counter. Her reply dismantled their claims with surgical precision. Every allegation was met with records, dates, and evidence. Every demand dismissed with legal precedent. She ended with a cold warning: if they pressed forward, all documentation, including video and written records, would be submitted into public record. That brought temporary silence. A few days went by. Then a link began circulating: starting over after betrayal, a GoFundMe campaign. Cassidy was behind it. In her version of events, I was emotionally unavailable, distant, and controlling. She painted herself as someone who made one regrettable choice in a hard season, and I'd supposedly humiliated her and left her destitute, without warning or compassion. She asked for $1,000 to cover rent, furniture, and legal bills. In 2 days, she had raised nearly $600. Most contributions came from people I hadn't spoken to in years, some since college. But a few names were painful: people who'd once raised glasses at our engagement party. I didn't explode. I didn't post anything in anger. I followed Amira's advice: keep calm, stay strategic, stay grounded. So I donated $5. With it, I left a comment. It included a Dropbox link. Inside were stills from the security footage, a detailed property timeline, copies of her legal claims, and Amira's point-by-point rebuttal. Nothing emotional, just concrete, verified information. Within an hour, the comment vanished. That's when I decided to call Rachel, Travis's girlfriend, the one I'd originally messaged who never got back to me. She picked up on the second ring. "Blake?" she asked. "Yeah," I replied. There was a pause. Then she said, "Tell me everything." So I did. I resent her the Dropbox link. She didn't just believe me, she acted. Rachel wasn't one for small talk. She didn't need it. She was efficient, deliberate, and razor sharp. She shared the folder everywhere: group chats, Facebook posts, even reconnected with people Cassidy probably assumed were still on her side. Within 3 days, the comments on the fundraiser turned into a wildfire. People were outraged. Some demanded refunds. Many reposted the link. By that evening, the campaign had been deleted. The next morning, Amira received a short, tense email. Cassidy's lawyer had withdrawn from the case. No further explanation. That was the beginning of the end. Once the fundraiser disappeared, everything else started falling apart. I didn't push. I didn't need to. It all unraveled on its own. 2 weeks later, Travis lost his job. Rachel had quietly forwarded the folder to his employer. They had strict policies about professional conduct. He never saw it coming. Rumor was, he moved in with his brother a few towns away. Rachel cut ties completely, blocked him, changed her number, and moved on. Cassidy ended up staying with a distant cousin in the suburbs, someone she hadn't spoken to in ages. The collapse didn't stem from anything I said aloud. The truth just moved, quietly, consistently, and unshakably. Her social circle faded. A few unfollowed her. Most just stopped replying. No one came to her defense. I sold the house. Too many memories lingered in the walls. I bought a smaller place downtown. Simple, quiet, just me, a couch I genuinely liked, and locks no one else had keys to. The early days were difficult. Silence is heavy when you've grown used to constant noise. Sometimes I'd wake expecting to hear her singing in the shower or making coffee. Then reality would return. She was gone. At night, I'd lie in the dark, not to replay the drama, but to search for the moments I should have noticed. Those quiet lies. The hesitation when I asked simple things. The emotional distance she never explained. Eventually, I stopped looking. There was nothing else to uncover, no pieces left to mend. Then, 2 months later, I saw her. Cassidy, in the frozen foods aisle at the grocery store. She looked diminished somehow. Her hair was pulled back, her face bare, swallowed by an oversized sweatshirt. She froze when she saw me, clutching a basket filled with microwave dinners. I didn't say a word, just turned the cart around and walked off. No dramatics, no parting words, no clever last remark to sting. She wasn't worth the energy. It's been 6 months now, long enough for the noise to die down, long enough for me to rebuild. Not into someone new, but back into who I was before. I get it now. Travis, Cassidy, they were never the point. It all came down to the line, unseen but defining, that separated who I was from who I became once she crossed it. A few days ago, while unpacking the last of my things, I noticed something wedged in the corner of a box. A single house key. I held it there in my palm still for a while, scuffed, slightly bent, and cool to the touch. It didn't carry her with it anymore. What mattered was what I had reclaimed, my peace, my quiet, my control. I tucked it into a small wooden box, not to cling to the pain, but to signify the split, the turning point, the lesson etched in. There was no conquest, no payback. What I found was clarity. They may have left a fracture, but they didn't break me. That key is mine now. It opens the door to my space, my path, my life. And next time, no duplicate keys, not unless that trust is proven, once and then again. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you liked this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you!